Welcome to home where faith and family meets. My name is Father Tim Donovan, parochial vicar at St. Bonaventure Parish in Huntington Beach. And this is Pam Hurwitz, my co-host. And Happy New Year to all of our listeners.
Happy New Year.
And a continued Merry Christmas.
And a very continued Merry Christmas.
We have 2 more weeks of celebrating. And I think we've got to continue to celebrate as continue to bring Christ's light into the world. The reading from this morning's Mass was that, that Jesus is the light, and he's the Word who became flesh and brought his light among us. And I think that's what the Christmas season's all about. And really, though, I think the New Year's about too. It's like kind of igniting our lives and our hearts.
Yeah.
Kind of recommitting ourselves to many things.
I am loving singing the Christmas carols finally. Huh?
Yeah, me too. I sang one this morning. What was it? "O Come All Ye Faithful." That one's powerful for me.
Yes. I love.
Come, let us adore him. This kind of like over and over beautiful thing.
Yeah.
We're back in Pam's home again today. I love it here. It's much more quiet than my place. We're under construction. They're cutting out the slab at my place. So I'm like, if I can get away from the noise for a little bit, it'll be a great Christmas.
Yes.
Luckily. And as we walked in, we have the 3 kings greeted us.
Yeah, I had a huge find. I did some after Christmas shopping.
Nice.
Yes. Day after, and walked into Home Goods actually, and they had you saw it. It's very beautiful. It's almost like a carved piece with the 3 kings in the middle, which I've never seen just the kings like that. And so I was with my mom and my daughter, and I immediately picked it up, and both their hands were going for it.
You're like mine. Sorry, you can find another one.
And there wasn't another one. So, but yeah, so that's been a really nice reminder to me every time I walked in and out of my doorway the last week.
And I love the images of Christmas, these pieces these decorations we all have right somewhere in our house, these creche scenes and keeping up the kings and the shepherds and all these people who came to greet Jesus and to meet him and to encounter him for the first time in his fleshly state, I guess, in his human state. And
it's making me think about, I went to a 4:00 Christmas Mass on Christmas Eve Mass, which I haven't done in a long time, because I think usually you have young kids if you do that,
There were many at my parish. We had crazy amount at that Mass. Yeah.
And if you don't have to do that, when you don't have young kids, you can go to Mass later. So anyway, this year we decided, we just were like, we really haven't been a part of that for a while. So we went to actually St. Anne's, and they had just, every child came either dressed as an angel or a shepherd.
Oh.
Literally so that must have been put out through the faith formation program or whatever. And then they had, Jesus come up, and Mary and Joseph, and, and during the gospel, Father Ben was asking the kids about what gift he thought Jesus could use, and he was just so, spontaneous. What it's like when you open it up. Okay. So he was asking all the kids, if you now think about this, what gift could you give Jesus? What could Jesus really use from you? And this one little shepherd raised his hand first, he knew.
He knew, yeah.
And he just shouted out in the midst of everyone, baby clothes.
Oh, yes. He was wrapped in swaddling clothes. He probably needs a little bit more than that.
Yes. So, So just thinking about the kings and the gifts, there was a little shepherd realizing that Jesus needed the gift of baby clothes. So.
Yeah, gold, frankincense, and myrrh maybe wouldn't have been super helpful to the Holy Family at that moment,
Exactly.
Maybe theologically significant,
yes.
but
yes,
practically significant.
Very true. Yeah.
Yeah, imagine somebody bringing into you, like with a newborn baby, here's some gold, frankincense, and myrrh. I guess it's interesting gifts, But yeah, talking about the Magi, these wise men, these kings, they're kind of known in different fronts, and the scriptures, they call them Magi, come from the east, traveled afar to meet this newborn king that they've heard about or were invited to come and encounter. And this Sunday is the Epiphany.
Yeah.
We celebrate the Epiphany. In many places of the country, they celebrate the Epiphany on the Thursday, or it's always the 7th. and whatever day that is. I guess it's Monday this year.
Okay.
But here we always kind of move it to the closest
Yeah.
Sunday experience. And the Epiphany is a really cool word. It's a pop culture word as well. Kind of we use it in our everyday lives as well, but it's a very religious word. And the word epiphany means a manifestation, that something is made known.
That's beautiful.
And something is, it breaks through in
Yeah.
a specific way. And I think that and that word epiphany too in our everyday lives
Yeah.
is similar thing,
Yeah,
right? It's
yeah.
something is made known. We
Yeah.
realize something like, oh, whoa, like had a breakthrough moment. You
Yeah.
could call it epiphany, in that piece. And so for Christ, he's all about the breakthroughs, I think, all about revealing himself. Like that's why he came, to reveal the Father to us.
Yeah.
Because only the Son knows the Father, it says in the Gospel of John. And so when Jesus reveals himself in these very different ways, we come to know him in his different aspects as well. And really, that's how we get to know everybody, right?
Yeah.
They have to reveal themselves
Yeah.
to us.
Yes.
Because so much of us is hidden,
Yeah.
our hearts and
Yeah.
our minds. But when we can reveal ourselves, then it opens us up to a new relationship with that person. On the Epiphany, and traditionally in the church, Epiphany is actually 3 events. We most closely associated, I think, with the visiting of the Magi and the giving of the gifts and these pieces, which is true. But also there's 2 other scriptural events that we consider epiphanal moments as well. And the second one is of the baptism of the Lord, where he reveals his sonship to the Father, and the Trinity is revealed in that moment. And the third is at the wedding at Cana,
Okay.
where he reveals his authority as God to do things like miracles and sanctify situations and establish sacraments and all these kind of things all happen in that moment. But what's cool about Epiphanies this year is that we actually have the 3 Sundays are in a row this year. This very rarely happens.
Okay.
So on the C cycle in our church, we have this Sunday will be the Magi, the following Sunday is the baptism of the Lord, and the Sunday after that we have the readings from the wedding at Cana.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so this year I think is an extended reflection on the Epiphany, which I think is really cool. Rather than trying to get it all into one Sunday, we can kind of pause and say, okay, like Lord, what are you revealing to me this Sunday, and what do you want to invite us into and to reflect on this Sunday? So with the 3 kings, I think the beautiful part is that they spend a lot of time coming from the east. I mean, this wasn't like they hopped on the closest airplane and got there quickly. I mean,
Yeah.
there was a long travel from the east. It could have come from a place like India even,
Wow.
or
Yeah.
that far away,
Yeah.
to
Okay.
come and to greet this king, this
Yeah.
newborn king. But also they brought to him very valuable things at that time. Gold, frankincense, and myrrh were not cheap gifts. They were very much so needed to make a lot of sacrifice for that to happen. So they sacrificed their time, but also their resources to meet this king, which I think is really good to ask ourselves too. Like, what can we offer the Lord? Baby clothes or
Yes.
peacetime, this year. And yeah.
It was I was part of an afternoon at Bethlehem. We did an afternoon at Bethlehem at one of the parishes right before Christmas with the faith formation. And so we took one of the classrooms and we made a makeshift kind of, we had a lot of different pieces from the Holy Lands that people had brought back, just different things that kids could kind of touch and smell. And so we actually ordered on Amazon the 2-pack frankincense and myrrh, which I had never smelled or, so that was kind of interesting because I just never actually smelt that or even understood kind of what that was, so that was kind of a interesting for me this year. And but I really think about that idea of gifts and our family being a gift, and looking at, kind of as a family as well, what can we, especially in this new year, what can we bring this Christ child? And you were kind of talking a little bit about this idea of domestic church calendar and kind of looking at our time. And I want you to tell me more about that because I love what that sounds like.
Yeah, I think I've always reflected, like, what is our most valuable resource? Like, what is that thing that we can't get more of ever?
Yeah.
The thing that once we give it away, it's gone, And
Yeah.
that's time.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
we can get more money and we can get more things and we can get more of all of those things, but I can't get more time.
Yeah.
Like, I can't make more of that.
Yeah.
And so the question is, for me, like, how am I using my time, and how am I using my time as a gift? with my family, but also with the Lord, because that's really what He wants from us. Because time is really where our life is, right?
Yeah.
Where we
Yeah.
spend our time is what's important to
Where our
us.
heart is.
Is where our heart is,
Yeah.
essentially, yeah. And so the church always has seen the family as the domestic church, which I love
Yeah.
that we have our home as a
Yeah.
church. And I think when Jesus said, "Where two or three are gathered in my name, there I am in their midst," like that sounds like a family to me,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Two or three, huh?
Yeah.
Or more gathered in his, and there I am with them. And where Christ is where the church is. We are his bride. And so the domestic church being in the context of our home, and so the universal church, as well as each diocese and even the different religious communities, have these calendars that we follow. So it's the
Yes.
universal church calendar, and it includes all of the different saint feast days, and of course the major high feasts, of Christ the Lord and of Mary and all of these things. And every year we go through these feasts and we remember them and we recall them and we learn different things from these great saints who gave their time to the Lord and who allowed their lives to be a sacrifice. And so I encouraged this last weekend, I encouraged my people to create what I call the domestic church calendar. I told them, I said, take that calendar down off your wall. And if you don't have a calendar on your wall, take out your phones, your Google calendars, and sit down with your family and decide, what are the things that we want to celebrate this year? What are what days did Christ break through for us?
Yeah.
What ways has Christ broken through in our lives and that we want to celebrate that? How has Christ come to our family and how have we recognized him in our family? And so I encourage them to mark down days in the domestic church calendar, like of each person's baptism. That
Love
day
that.
that day that Christ revealed to
Yeah.
them that they belong to him
Yeah.
as the son or daughter, his beloved son or daughter, and then also mark down the day of your anniversary, your wedding anniversary.
Yeah.
The day that it began, that you said yes to each other and
Yeah.
continue to say yes to each other, and
Yeah.
the fruit of your marriage, and that celebrate that as a family, not just as like, hey, I mean, you can have a night with yourselves. That's good. I think that's important, but also to celebrate that as a family,
Yeah.
to draw together and to thank God for that moment. Also kind of, I think, sometimes we don't want to celebrate these things, but I think there are moments of recognizing Christ breaking through, even like the passing away of people in our lives,
Yeah.
significant people, our grandparents, brothers and sisters, great grandparents, whoever that was, maybe a sad loss. But also when we celebrate that in such a way, it's not to celebrate like that it happened, but to celebrate that Christ was present to us in that moment. And that these are moments where we were able then to, in faith, offer this person back to the Father, to the person of Christ, and to remember that, to memorialize that, and to talk about them and how they were Christ to you.
And I think even too, kids get excited, or just like saint, if you have a saint that you were named after, to look up those feast days. My husband is a Stephen, and so we just were.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
St. Stephen Day, right after Christmas, the
Yes.
26th every year. Yeah.
So, but just, I have Joseph and my mom and dad, there has not been a year that they have not called and wished him happy St. Joseph Day. So, also maybe that could be another thing to put on there.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Another thing to put on there.
They call those in the church, they call them name days,
Okay.
to celebrate the name day.
Yeah. Okay.
I do that every once in a while. I'll celebrate Mass and I'll see someone's name come through. And today is, I think, Sylvester. So if you know any Sylvesters, then you could wish them a happy name day. But to celebrate those and to celebrate what, the saint, why maybe we were named after that saint. I sometimes wonder like why I was named Timothy.
Yeah.
And there are aspects of his life, especially in St. Paul's letters to him. I'm like, okay, there it is. Like, I need to hear that to a Timothy.
Yeah.
Like he's writing to a Timothy, and that's me, and to celebrate those days. And to mark them out.
Yeah.
Highlight them on the calendar, circle them big and write, Joseph's feast day, or,
Yes.
Anne's
Yes.
feast day,
Yes.
or, Tim's feast day. And if we don't have a particular patron saint that's on the calendar, like, then we have a saint usually for our confirmation who is a saint,
Yes.
or a baptismal name,
Yeah.
stuff like that. Or maybe we just choose one.
Yeah.
So you know what? Here's which saint do you feel called to, or
Yeah.
have a conversation or celebrate the different ones throughout the year. And to have that calendar like hanging someplace.
Yeah.
Where we then can celebrate that, and maybe demarcating that by like a moment where we light a candle or we do something like that sets a space for it. So it's not just on the calendar and it passes, but that we're intentional in pausing and offering that time with each other.
I did have an experience too once where I entered someone's home and they had it was their daughter's saint, it was their daughter's baptismal day that they were,
Nice.
and they had, a cake out, and they had pictures, from her baptism there and her christening outfit, and
Ah.
it was just, I mean, it really struck me, so, and she was like beyond to show it all to me, so I think that kids would be happy to have more than one birthday, so
The birth in the faith, an important one, right?
so that's yeah, I love that. Another thing too, I think, as you were saying, time and calendars, and I think for me this year, is just to like Sabbath, is to also, um, to look at, is there a way, I'm going to be proposing to my family on New Year's for us to have a little space on Sundays to, I think we all could use some like personal, like reflection, just time to, my son, just, to read stuff or to look at things, just to bring in, a book or what, just some downtime that isn't, that has a purpose at developing ourselves, and so I'm trying to see if we can commit to a reading hour, that we can commit as a family to a reading hour on Sunday evenings, and really come in the same space with your book or with whatever, turn the lights on and read for an hour together and just see what comes out of that, just what, in the conversations that may follow about which, because I do think that kind of books change us and things we take, whatever we take in changes us. So, I think Sabbath too is just trying to find ways to be off together, which is crazy, but we have to put those on the calendar.
We have to schedule them.
Yeah, scheduled time off,
Yeah.
I mean, like it's scheduled time, and I think more and more that is so critical for families. And so I would encourage that on your domestic church calendar, also a picnic, just a board game night, to put those in there as well. Cause like you said, our time is holy. And I just think, when two or three are gathered and, whether we're playing a game or watching a movie, there's, the Spirit is with us. So
I've been reflecting a lot recently that I think that the virtue of family life is togetherness.
yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Is really what it is.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
like to be
Yes.
intentional in our togetherness, to schedule our togetherness,
Yes.
to say what we want to do together,
Yeah.
because you can live all in the same house and not be together.
Yeah.
But to
Yeah.
be to doing things, I think is really how we grow in that relationship with each other. One other thing we can do on the celebrating the baptisms, I was just thinking about this too, is to light your baptismal candle.
Yeah.
Many people still have
Yeah.
those, which
Yes.
is beautiful, and to
Yes.
light it and to just to remind you, you are the light of Christ.
Yeah.
Christ's light is within you, and
Yeah.
just to reaffirm that. Oh my gosh, how many times do we just need to be retold that? I
Yeah.
need to be retold that, like,
Yeah.
hey, you are the light of Christ. Like, oh my gosh, you're right. Like, and to be just reaffirmed
Yeah.
in those moments, and maybe there can be associated with those celebratory moments is of affirmation.
Yeah.
This is how I see Christ in you.
Yes.
And
Love that.
how I continue to see Christ revealed through you.
And wouldn't it be beautiful to also invite godparents,
Oh yeah.
Yeah. To
See, this is layers. I like this.
but for them to also be reawakened, and they may have that day it just seems like the biggest honor, and but sometimes we can tend to not follow up in the ways, so to include them as an opportunity for them to be here for the child, but also in their own faith reminders. So yeah.
Yeah, and maybe like do a renewal of baptismal promises together.
Love that. Oh.
They can do that in their home.
Yes.
For sure. There's nothing that
Yes.
says that the priest has to do that.
Yeah.
We
Love
can
that.
renew our baptismal promises, whenever we need to.
Yeah.
And the renunciations can be done too, and all that beautiful stuff. So, but to bring, to whatever we can bring into awareness, right?
Yeah.
Like Jesus is all the time revealing himself.
Yeah.
He's I would say epiphanizing himself, right? But that's like that's not a word. But he's revealing himself all the
I
time
love
to
that,
us.
yeah.
But The question is, are we available to it? Like the three kings made the space.
Yeah. Yes.
They made the time.
Yeah.
They made the journey
Yeah.
to see him. There was a lot of other people during that time that didn't do that.
Yeah.
But he was revealing himself, but they're the ones who said to recognized it, right? Took the time to say, hold on a second, like I see the star. This must be something important. So I'm going to go check it out, because we could see the star. God could be trying to get our attention and we just not recognize it, ever be drawn by the experiences of him revealing himself.
So true. So true. And yeah, no. And then those, and sometimes, we have our own epiphany moments at, when we do gather, and, let's say, make the time to, as you're talking about, whether it's a baptismal or spending time and talking or whatever. I know I have had so many of those aha moments with my families when I've made that time, and sometimes it's overwhelming and you're like, I've got so many other, but just where it's like, and we're just kind of almost that, that seeing that Jesus for the first time, for the Magi, for Mary and Joseph or whatever, but that just aha moment, as well as it noticing each other, noticing Jesus in our family, in each other as well.
Yeah, I think that's what holy families are about.
Yeah.
Seeing Christ in each other.
Yeah.
Because Christ alone is holy,
Yeah.
and he makes us holy by his presence. One of the cool traditions during this feast day all around the world are they make king cakes.
Yeah.
They call it, the galette de roi in French. I think it's something like that. And then the rosca.
Yeah.
The
Rosca
rosca
de Reyes,
rosca reyes.
Yeah, de Reyes.
I'm a little better on that one. No, my Spanish is more refined than my French these days. But that's a very cool cake to make, and they're not that hard to make.
Yeah.
You can buy them places, of course.
Yes.
But you can make them as well, maybe together as a family. The French one's beautiful. It's a puff pastry dough. Ooh, let's get there right now. Puff pastry dough, and it has a marzipan filling. So it's like an almond kind of pastry choux filling. It's very delicious, and then you bake it in the oven with scored top, and you hide an almond in there. Some people hide little baby Jesus, but I prefer not to bite on baby Jesus, so I hide a little almond in there, or a bean. Sometimes I'll hide a little bean in the cake, and so then you cut up the cake and you eat it together as a family, and whoever gets the bean then is the king.
Yeah.
The king for the day,
Okay. Yeah.
And then I believe that the French tradition is that the person who gets the bean has to make the cake the following year.
Yes.
Kind of a thing. So it kind of had to
And I think in this Hispanic tradition, they tend more to bake a little tiny baby Jesus in the cake.
Right.
And if he's in your slice, then you have to host the next party, which is for the presentation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's yes.
Oh, which is only a few
you host
days
that
later, 20 days later.
Get together. So yeah, I have had rosca de reyes, and it's very good too. Very, very good too. And I love some of these, cultural traditions. And I think I may have told you before, but I had an experience once of showing up to someone's home who was a Hispanic on Epiphany, on the actual day of Epiphany. How it fell on a Thursday that day, and I got to this person's home for a meeting, and there were like unwrapped Christmas gifts everywhere, and I was kind of like, this person hasn't cleaned their living room
since Christmas Day.
Yes. And so she said, oh, no. She said, this is, the kings brought the gifts today, and then she was saying about how, in the Hispanic culture, the kings bring the gifts, so they don't open Christmas gifts until,
Right. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Until Epiphany.
That's the big day in like Mexico and other places of gift giving.
Yeah. And so I thought that was beautiful too. And then she was showing me the rosca, and and they were so excited about the party they were going to have that evening. And so these traditions, I remember walking away that day just thinking, like, just feeling like, oh my gosh, I wish I had a domestic church. Next year I'm celebrating that. You know what I mean? Like,
I'll put it on my calendar.
I'm putting it on my calendar, so I mean, trying to, many times it's that we'll have that experience or see it somewhere and then, but look for those ways, because I think in some of the cultural, they have more of those traditions that, they tend to really come together and, and celebrate pieces of our faith like that. And I think, we need, as Anglos too, we can learn from those and pull pieces of those.
Oh yeah,
And
there's no reason why we can't have.
I ordered a rosca already this year from, I'm at a Hispanic parish where we were selling them, and I'm excited to do that with my family this year as well. So
Nice. Yeah, I just invited all of our families and parents to make a family resolution
yes,
to resolve to start a new tradition this year,
Yeah.
or to mark out a calendar with each other. Like, I think you won't be disappointed by those results,
Yeah.
And then really I know in my own life, if I don't schedule in prayer time, it's really hard pressed at the end of my crazy day as a priest to get something in there,
Yeah.
And when people ask me if I'm available, I can tell them, no, I have an appointment. And I'm not lying to them.
Yeah.
I have an appointment with God and I need to keep it.
Yeah.
Because if not, I become very not available to people and not worth much to them if I don't spend that time with the Lord myself. And so to really be intentional and resolve to make some intentional time with each other, with the Lord. And I think that the result of that will always be peace. Always.
Yeah.
It's a never fail kind of a thing. Yeah.
I also have kind of been encouraging people because, I have that Faith and Family Collective.
Yeah.
But one of the boxes that we have is about mission. And so I'm just kind of encouraging people who either have that box or if you don't, I just think it's a great time to go through a process of kind of determining as a family what is our mission, because it kind of helps us decide what we say yes to, what we say no to, as we set off for a new year. And I think sometimes if we don't declare mission, then our mission just becomes chaos, and so
Nothing focuses our time,
Yes.
Just whatever needs it right now.
So, the idea of, mission statement, togetherness, I do have a tool for that people can go on and look at. And I think it's very, and I think it's a perfect time now because a lot of kids are home still for vacation. So, it's a time to kind of be able to sit and gather in ways that you might not usually be able to. So,
Yeah, it kind of calms down a little bit right after Christmas.
it does.
And
There's kind of,
New
yes.
Year's. It's like, okay, yeah. There's a little tradition my family has as well. They'll probably do it tomorrow. I haven't heard any news on it, but it'll probably happen. My dad's very kind of ordered like this. Is they make deep dish pizzas every New Year's Day.
Fun.
So
Okay.
which is a whole big old mess in the kitchen. But it's great.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. It's like interesting how that becomes like a gathering incentive, right?
Yeah.
Like families, my different family members come over and they make these deep dish pizzas, and it's nothing fancy, but it's
Yeah.
just togetherness,
Yeah.
and we share that newness and that kind of thing. So
I know I'm from a crazy family. I've showed you that before, but for whatever reason, my dad really takes his patriarchal duties very seriously. And so, every year, also at Christmas, he delivers his Hanukals, I am a Hanukal, State of the Union address.
that's right.
Yes. And so that too, just talking about last year, somehow talking about, maybe, the blessings and struggles of last year and, what we kind of learn from those. Because sometimes too, if we don't self-reflect,
Yeah. It's going to be another year of it.
Yes, exactly. And so that, is another tool to be able to do in families is, where have we been, and how does that also determine where we're going? And so maybe to kind of talk a little bit about State of the Union, where are we this year as a family, and not only where are we going, but where have we been,
Absolutely. And to know where we've come from too.
Yeah.
Gives us the opportunity to set those goals and to set the hopes and desires for the year. Even if they don't go perfectly right, it gives us a goal to return to, like a promise.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
a vision.
And one tradition we wanted to mention for this new year is there is a beautiful idea every year is to bless your doors.
Oh, yes.
Is to bless your doors. And so the idea of, the people that'll be coming in and out each, through our front doors, especially, and so again, we can get holy water from, our churches, and you can take it out of the fonts, right? Can you,
Totally.
Tim?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay.
And you have authority to do that as a parent. You have authority over your own house,
Yes.
so you can bless your house.
So to take some holy water home, and then to actually, you can do your front door. You can do actually every door, the door into each of your, kids' bedrooms, and then to take the time just to maybe put your hand in the water and, make the sign of the cross on the door, and then just talk about, God, we just ask blessings on our home this year, and on the people that visit, and the people that come in, and the comings and the goings, and the things that happen here, and keep our eyes focused on you. But I think that's something that children would really enjoy doing, is blessing also the doorways in your home. So that might be a New Year's tradition that you could begin this year.
That'd be beautiful.
Yeah.
To always, because our homes can become places of encounter too with Jesus, and that's what we really want them to be for anyone who comes in and out. Our families, also our visitors. Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Happy New
God
Year.
can continue to reveal Himself to us every day. Happy New Year. We're on our way. 2019. Here we go.